You and a chimpanzee walk into a room. On the outside, the difference is obvious. You are wearing clothes. You are reading this. You probably have opinions about coffee. The chimp is climbing the walls. But inside your cells, inside your DNA, you are almost identical. You share 98.8% of your genetic code with a chimpanzee. That means the difference between you and the animal that throws things at zoo visitors is less than 2% of your DNA. And in 2025, scientists discovered that even that number was wrong. The real difference is bigger and more interesting, and what it actually contains will change how you think about yourself for the rest of your life. First, let us understand why 1% is both incredibly small and impossibly large at the same time. Your DNA contains about 3 billion base pairs. Think of each base pair as one letter in the longest book ever written, 3 billion letters. If you printed that book, it would be taller than the Empire State Building. Now take 1% of 3 billion. That is 30 million. 30 million differences between your DNA and a chimpanzee's DNA. 30 million individual letters in the Book of Life, where the chimp's version says one thing and your version says something completely different. And each one of those differences can potentially change everything. One letter in the wrong place in a gene can cause cancer. One letter in the right place changed the human brain forever. Scientists have spent years trying to figure out exactly which of those 30 million differences actually matter. And what they found is that the differences are not spread randomly. They cluster around very specific things, things that make you distinctly human. The first cluster is in the brain. Humans have genes called human accelerated regions, HAR genes. These are sections of DNA that barely changed across 300 million years of evolution. They were the same in fish, mice, reptiles, and apes for hundreds of millions of years. And then, about 200,000 years ago, they suddenly changed dramatically in humans. In an evolutionary blink of an eye, whatever flipped those switches, it rewired the human brain for higher thinking, complex language, and abstract reasoning. The exact things that separate the human standing in front of a painting from the chimp sitting next to the wall. Now here is the specific gene that changed everything. It is called FOXP2, and it is tiny. The human version of FOXP2 differs from the chimpanzee version by just 2 amino acids. 2 out of hundreds of amino acids in the protein. That sounds like almost nothing, but what those 2 amino acid changes did was extraordinary. They switched on dozens of other language-related genes during fetal brain development, genes that wire up the exact regions of the brain needed for producing complex speech. In 2014, scientists did something remarkable. They took mice and gave them the human version of FOXP2 instead of the mouse version. Those mice learned complex tasks faster. They had higher neuronal plasticity, and their vocalization, the sounds they made, actually changed. 2 amino acids are in one gene changed how a mouse's brain learns. That is what happened to us 6 million years ago. And it is why you can explain your feelings in a sentence, and a chimpanzee cannot. FOXP2 is remarkable, but it is just one piece. There is another gene called sRGAP2. In chimps, sRGAP2 does one job. It prunes brain connections during early development. It cuts away the weaker neural connections to keep the brain efficient. In humans, something happened about 3.4 million years ago. The sRGAP2 gene was duplicated. A copy was made, and that copy interferes with the original. It actually slows down the pruning process. What does that mean? It means human brain connections stay open, learning, for longer than a chimp's brain does. Human children have a much longer window of neuroplasticity. A chimp's brain closes off faster. A human child stays wired to learn for years longer. Now here is the part that nobody in those textbooks told you. In April 2025, a new study was published in the journal Nature. Scientists had finally completed a full from-scratch mapping of both the human and chimpanzee genomes without using the human genome as a template to guide the chimp mapping the way they had done before. And what they found changed the number entirely. The real genetic difference between humans and chimpanzees is not 1.2%. When you include all the insertions, deletions, chromosomal rearrangements, and structural differences, the real difference is at least 14%. So what does all of this actually mean for you right now? Today, it means that the gap between you and a chimpanzee is not a thin line. It is a chasm, and that chasm was built over millions of years. And here is the thing that should genuinely humble you. The chimpanzee is not failing to be human. The chimpanzee is a spectacularly successful primate that has survived for millions of years with exactly the genome it needs. The difference is not that we are better. The difference is that we went in a different direction, and both directions worked.